Welcome back, Compass Cartel. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Crypto Compass live stream. We got a lot to unpack today. So much news, so much information coming down the pipeline. Oh, I can't wait. Let the hype build a little bit. Beat die down and we'll jump right into it. Cool. That's the intro right there, coming in with the music, but I'm back. I know I took a little hiatus, was gone for a couple weeks, but I'm back and I'm here to give you the news. Took that little break, took my vacation, did my thing, but now I'm going to dive deep into this market and what we have for the upcoming November and December months for the rest of the year of 2025. It's crazy. 2025 feel like it just breezed through. The market had its ups and downs, but overall 2025 was a pretty slow year. 24 maybe a little more action going on, a little more going on, but again, not too much happened in the market. People are getting upset. People are literally throwing a fit because we haven't had an alt season. We haven't had a crazy run up in a while. Last December, Bitcoin broke past 100K, and now we're kind of just consolidating and sitting there the whole year. And everyone's kind of like, is the market dead? And the only reason they ask that, and the big reason that I think, is because the stock market continues to make all-time high after all-time high. NVIDIA is a $5 trillion company. Not one, not two, not three, not four, but $5 trillion NVIDIA. That's how much it's worth. The most valuable company in history ever. Period. Hard stop. Ever. That's wild. That's something, many may not expect. But let me backtrack a little bit. The reason we keep seeing valuations go up in stocks, we should see it in crypto, but we haven't seen something great just yet. But I do think that will come. It's on the horizon. We're literally at that point where literally crypto has to catch up to commodities like gold, to assets and securities like stocks. It has to catch up. It has to eventually come up to that pace to where Bitcoin will have a 10-20% day. Some altcoins, Ethereum, Chainlink will have like a 20-30% day. Like that day is coming. Brace yourselves. The time now is to just load your bag, sit and chill. Just chill. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I'm here to tell you how I see the market through my lens. I am your navigator. I am your compass in this market. So if you want my advice, take it. I'm here to give you free advice in my live streams every time I live stream. And I'm going to be doing it a lot more often. So please, support your boy, subscribe to the channel. Please hit a like on this video. Please blow up this chat. Please, people, come on in and blow up this chat. Tell me how you feel on this beautiful Saturday morning. And forgot to mention, happy Halloween for those that celebrate yesterday. Definitely spooky times in the market. We're finally hit a new month, November 1st, second to last month of the year. Everyone was claiming Q4 is going to be super, uber bullish. It wasn't. It wasn't. I think October also finished red technically on the Bitcoin monthly charts, which is not something we've seen in a long time. And if it finishes red, November and December don't necessarily end up super bullish, but it is a little bit frustrating when the stock market keeps making high after high. And we're even seeing meme coins or meme stocks go off on the stock market like Beyond Meat, right? Literally did like a more than a 10x in like a week. It was like insane. Something you would expect to see in the crypto market. All that is now happening in the stock market. So I get it. It's frustrating. I'm frustrated. I'm sitting here waiting on my positions to move, but I'm not getting impatient. Let me be very clear. Do not get impatient, because the moment you get impatient, The market will humble you. The market will literally wait till you sell and then pump the price, cause you to FOMO, and then dump the price. Do not play the market games. Do not try to time the market unless you're looking at a chart, you're very technical, and you think an asset's going to break out at a certain point. Go ahead, time it. But if you're sitting in long term investments, literally just sit and chill. That's it. Sit and chill. Relax, sit back, enjoy your life, stack your positions, come back to it in a few years, a decade, whatever, and then look at it and then tell me how you feel, right? Excuse me. So, Bitcoin a decade ago, so that would be what, 2015-ish. I'm just guessing on the price. I don't have it up or know exactly, but well, let's actually just look it up. Since we have the price charts right here, let's just look at exactly what Bitcoin was in 2015. And then let's just see how we're going to take it from there, going into now. So this is current market. Obviously, I have Chainlink up because I am a Link Marine stand up. But let's look at Bitcoin. So for hypothetical purposes, I'm just going to throw up a bigger chart, as big as I can get. Let's do 12-month. Back in, we don't even have that data. So let's just say 5 years ago. So 2020, that's when we had that huge COVID crash, right? And then we actually, I don't know if it's going to show on the chart, but I was there live in person. During COVID, I saw Bitcoin wick down to $3,000. I will say I just got into the market in 2019, near the second half of 2019. 2020, I saw that happen, and I was like, whoa. Like, I was big into the stock market. I was, playing some leverage there, kind of getting in and out, swinging some trades with the volatility that we had with COVID. But then I saw crypto tank, and literally my experience, I should have just gone all in crypto and not even touched it until now. Literally would have been sitting on millions, but you live and you learn. And remember, like, during that time, it was all new to me. Like, if I was in the market and I was a seasoned investor and I was literally back there from like 2013-ish, from when we had that first technical crazy bull run, I definitely would have went all in on Bitcoin. But Bitcoin was 3,000 in 2020. I remember it wicking down there. Let's just call it not this wick right here. This is the 2020. And then since then, we're sitting at $110,000. That's well more than a 20, 30, 30x, almost 40x. If we're talking to the highs of 125,000, 40x in the span of 5 years is very nice. That is a great return. That is amazing. I don't think anyone would be upset about that, right? That kind of return will literally yield you going from 5 figures to like 6, 7 figures in the span of 5 years. Great investment. Just to show you, like, long term, play the cards right, play the right play, hold your conviction, things will be great. My current play, and what I feel like will mimic that in the next 5 years, is going to be Chainlink. And that is just something I think, not financial advice, not something I'm going to say, but that's how I feel. So if that's the case, getting in now and yielding a, I don't know, 40 to 50x in the span of 5 years, that can be big money. So you put in $1,000 now, going up to, like, just to say we get to a 50x in Chainlink in 5 years, that's $1,000 to $50,000 in the span of 5 years. And literally all you did was just sit in your investments and then get that passive income. The goal is passive income. Understand, like, you want to come in here, you want to make some money. You do not have to be a trader to make money. Let me make that clear. You don't have to constantly swing, sell, buy, get into leverage, so on, so on. That's how you can end up losing money. So remember, just hold your conviction, hold it for multiple years, and I can almost guarantee you if that asset's conviction plays out and you did your research, you did your due diligence, you know that asset is going to be great, you watch it play out, beautiful feeling. That's you basically getting what you deserve because you were early, because you did your research, and you were in the right assets. So I feel like crypto's at an inflection point where right now things are slow, things have been sideways. We may even dump a little bit more, but long term, I think we're literally setting up for nothing but bullishness as institutions come in, more companies are adopting it. Bitcoin is being added to balance sheets for many, many companies. Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy just continues to buy. Countries are buying. People are taking taxes away, literally 0% tax in some countries now on Bitcoin and other cryptos. That's coming to the US too. I feel like the US and Trump wants to make crypto the US, they wants to make the US the crypto capital, whatever it is. If that's the case, why would you tax crypto? Why would you penalize people for trading crypto, right? So all this is coming down the pipeline. The question is, do you want to be early now or do you want to just wait and kind of FOMO in later? Totally up to you. But my non-financial advice, because I'm not a financial advisor, so again, not advice, but my recommendation, I guess you could say, would be to find some assets that you like right now, load the bag, set it, forget it, throw it on a hard wallet, come back in 5 years and see where you're at. So yeah, that's just my opinion. That's my little rant I had to go on just to let you know. Have some time in the market. That's it. That's all I want to say. We're drinking some green tea today, so I'm gonna take a little sip of that. Starting off the morning right. So let me hydrate a little bit. Had to throw it in the Yeti. Yeah, good stuff. Okay. So now getting back to the subject at hand, I want to start with the trade deal. The fact that US and China just continue going back and forth. Trump literally nuked the market because he's sitting here saying over 100% tax on China, blah, 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 tariffs this, tariffs that. Like, goes back to the taco trade. Trump always chickens out. Trump comes out and says 100% tariffs, ends up agreeing on 10%. And that just swings the market up and down. So Trump comes out and says 100%, market pew, crash down. Then Trump says, oh, wait, I made a deal, 10%, market comes back up, V recovery, and actually above the point that it dropped from. Further proves my point, just hold your coins. It is dangerous to get into leverage. To be honest, I will never be a promoter of leverage. I think leverage is a form of gambling. I'm not here to gamble money. I'm here to make money, to be smart about my investments, and to literally just hold it in spot and just hold some coins and write it off into the sunset. That's my take on the market. If you are more of a seasoned trader and you can trade it up and down, good for you. If you find a play that you are pretty sure on, go ahead and trade it. But I would highly recommend that you don't just put a large chunk of money in there, only money that you're willing to lose. And if you do make profit from it, rotate it back into your long-term bags. Just my advice, just my opinion. I feel like this is what makes you a good trader / investor in this crypto volatile market. But getting back into the Trump scenario, Trump and China scenario, let me actually share this. What's been going on? Maybe you already saw the headlines. Maybe you didn't. I don't know. But basically, they reached a deal. So last Thursday, Trump said 20% tariffs on China related to fentanyl, so which is the drug trade. They wanted to get some of that medicine over there. Is being reduced to 10%, so that basically each of these individual, whatever you want to call it, like crops, medicine, so on, so on. All these individual items get taxed, tariffed in a very specific way. And then you relate that to the overall tariff. So the overall effective tariff or tax rate on Chinese imports dropped from 57 to 47%. So remember, Trump's coming out saying, I'm going to tax them 100%. I think he even went up to something ridiculous. He was like 150, 200%, blah, blah, blah. Like literally just coming out acting like he owns everything and he's putting down his authority and this is his negotiating tactic, when in reality all it does is create panic. And he knows that. He probably shorted the market. I know probably his family did, shorted the market and watched it go down. They made millions, and then Trump's like, okay, let's pocket this money and now let's make a bullish announcement and let's go long. Then they went long, made some money, and repeat, rinse and repeat. But anyways, imports or not imports, the tariffs dropped to 47%. So technically that's good. That's where we've been going. And the big issue that the US and China were kind of going back and forth about were for very specific items. So I know they were looking at earth minerals and the soybean market. So they had a 1 year agreement on both. So now they're going to trade earth minerals and soybeans. But the fate of TikTok is still unclear because, I think China technically owns TikTok. US wants TikTok. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of data, a lot of information that goes there. A lot of people use that. That's like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, social media platform. So a lot going on there, but at the very least, they made it. So I'm happy. I'm happy they made a deal. I'm happy they're coming somewhere. They're getting into some form of agreement, and that will bring peace into the market and hopefully bullishness so we can consolidate a little bit and then head right back up. How I feel about it. Yeah. So we have that. We have US and China going through their trade deal. A lot going on. Blow up that chat, please, please, please. Tell me how you feel about the US China trade deal. Do you feel like Trump's manipulating the market? Do you feel like he's putting too many tariffs on? Like, please, please tell me how you feel. Let's blow up that chat. But getting on into the kind of next section or next thing that I want to discuss. So we already went through the charts. So actually, let me just briefly touch on the market because I like to give market updates every time I go live on stream. So let's look at the market. So here we have it. Bitcoin first, sitting at 110,000. We had this nasty dip down to 106. But in the grand scheme of it all, is 106 really that low? Maybe I'll start to panic if we drop below 100, but we haven't really got below 100. Even this nasty wick right here was 102. Bitcoin is digital gold. Bitcoin is a true store of value. This is literally just proof, the bulls don't want this to drop below a certain level. So yeah, this is great. This is not a bullish chart at all. This right here was just a capitulation drop event that happened again due to the fact that Trump came in and said, okay, I'm going to put 100%, 200% tariffs coming on here, right? So if that's the case, cool, right? This could have been a buy dip opportunity immediately because 102 going up to 116,000, right? Let's just say you had the money, you bought a full Bitcoin, you're making 14K on that down to up move. Yes, we've been consolidating since this day. We've been in a consolidation period, meaning we just go up and down in a channel. Our channel currently on Bitcoin is at a high of 116, a low of, let's just say this is more of the support. This is like a wick down, but like 106,000. And right now we're sitting right at 110. So maybe, just maybe, this is our final consolidation stage. It looks like we do have some bullish engulfing bars here, bullish reversals. Doesn't look bad to me as long as everything holds. We don't have any other black swan or crazy events going on. This could end up literally just moonshoting back up to test all-time highs and then eventually break it. And it would be perfect. It would be absolutely perfect to end Q4. November, we creep up. December, we get that Santa rally, Christmas rally, holidays. People are throwing money in the market. People are happy. That's what we saw last year in December. Bitcoin absolutely ripping and breaking above six figures, above 100,000. So who's to say we don't get the same exact thing this year, right? Very possible. Very, very possible. But let's jump into Ethereum. So nothing too different about the same thing that we're looking at here. We had this nasty wick come down, 3,400, and then it shot back up to 4,000, almost 300. And since then, that 4,300 has been the top of our channel. And then at the bottom, we're looking at 3,700 about, and we're literally, again, consolidating. But look, it's putting in bullish engulfing candles or bars. I like to use bars, not candles, because again, candles are just for birthday cakes, as my mentor would say. But that's what we're looking at here, right? We're looking at something that's might be ready to blow, might be ready to take off. October, everyone, and when I say everyone, I mean everyone was way too bullish. Even I admittedly got a little too bullish on October, but I was skeptical the whole time. Not gonna lie. I said it live on stream when I was streaming in October, the beginning, the middle, the end. Like there was something off about it. When way too many people lean towards one side, whether it's bearish or bullish, that's when you start to see some red flags, and you necessarily don't want to go with the herd mentality. You want to be a contrarian and flip sides and be like, okay, it's time to short the market, right? And then Link, our little golden token here. Link is a token that I've been bullish on for a while. Had a nasty, and I mean nasty wick, coming down to $8, up from 22. It lost, what is that, 60, 70% in the span of minutes. Literally minutes. I saw this wick down live and it was insane. And obviously got bought right back up, and it kind of tested back at 20. So I'd say 20 is the high, maybe more 19 is the high. And the bottom of this range is looking right at 16, low 16s. Right now we're sitting at 17. So that's not a bad level. And again, we're having some bullish bars kind of come up. So that is a great sign. So I, again, am currently cautiously bullish on this market. I'm not going to say I'm a full bull coming out, bulls release. We're going to go up only from here. That is not necessarily the case, but I am feeling a little more optimistic and a little more bullish at this point. Since we had that capitulation event, that was the dump and the reset we probably needed, if I'm being honest. And maybe we just consolidate for a little bit more, maybe a couple more weeks, and then we finally take off into the end of the year. Who's to say? There's a lot of different things in the pipeline, right? In this case. One thing I do want to discuss is the fact that MetaMask, which is a decentralized wallet, literally came out and said it's airdrop season. That is what I like to hear. MetaMask is literally handing out an airdrop. They posted a whole video, whole thing. This is the tweet coming directly from them. So two things here, two different drops. They have one drop that's just 30 million in rewards. So that's just basically any activity you do now, whether it comes to swaps, bridges, anything native on the app itself and on the browser wallet will be rewarded. And they're giving 30 million in the Linea token. So that's what it says here. Season 1 will last for 90 days and start with over 30 million Linea. And then they also are rewarding OGs for this, but they want newer users to get involved. And yeah, That's basically they have a more detailed thing. If you want to look at this tweet directly, I can actually link this tweet to the chat just for you guys. So let me actually throw it in there. But yeah, this is something that you want to consider, you want to look at. This could be potentially huge because having MetaMask drop a token is big. I was trading MetaMask back in 2019. That was my first browser wallet first decentralized wallet actually that I got involved in. And that just continued to spark my interest. And it was all skies up from there, all crypto man from there. And that's where the crypto compass was born. I'm a big supporter of MetaMask. I don't necessarily like the fact that they're delaying the token and now they're saying, do this, bring more volume onto my platform and use my volume more, maybe because they're trying to generate more money before they release the token. I don't know what it is because OpenSea does the same thing. Like OpenSea is an NFT marketplace. These companies, right? These big crypto companies, MetaMask, which is owned by Consensus, which by the way, Consensus is doing an IPO. So here's the theory. MetaMask literally comes out. Consensus does an IPO on the stock market. MetaMask comes out and says, we're actually not dropping a coin. We're going to drop an IPO and we're going to reward our users in that stock, which is Consensus stock. And that's the reward you get, right? It's not decentralized. It's going to be on the stock. So we have to go through a whole KYC, know your customer process. So that's where you literally give them all your information, your address, probably social, probably need a picture of you, license, passport, blah, 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 so on, right? Could very well be the case. Or maybe they're just trying to do both. Maybe they come out and IPO on the stock market as a big umbrella company, Consensus. And then MetaMask is just one of their products, a decentralized browser wallet or mobile wallet now. And they release a mask token for that wallet itself, right? There's many scenarios going on here, but, a lot coming down the pipeline. And one thing that frustrates us OG users of both platforms, OpenSea, when the NFTs were going crazy back in 2021, and also MetaMask back in like 2020, 2021 as well, the previous bull run. There are a lot of users that are still here that used it from that last bull run, myself included. And now both platforms are coming out and saying, oh, we have this reward season. So go ahead and use our platform and continue to give us volume, continue to generate revenue for us, and we'll reward you, but we're still going to delay our token. So two separate things for both platforms. One is that you need to do activity now and you'll get rewarded. Another one is we're taking your previous historical blockchain data and we're going to look at it and then we're going to reward you based on that. So one for the OGs, one for the new users. That's how I see it. Let's see how it goes. One thing that would be pretty upsetting is the fact that they let a few seasons or just one season of current rewards go on, which for MetaMask goes on 90 days. So that's going to pass the end of the year. So maybe they don't even drop a token before the end of the year. And we already saw Polymarket predict that maybe that doesn't happen. If that's the case, a lot of people will be upset, be like, I think OpenSea already announced next year for their airdrop too. So the airdrops are coming, but they definitely could be delayed. But what I would recommend is literally, if you want to, maybe farm some of these airdrops now because they are giving separate rewards for that. So MetaMask, go and make swaps and bridging and all the native, actions. OpenSea, go in and they have treasure chests that basically have certain voyages you can do. So basically, one of them was like buy an NFT on this network or sell an NFT here. OpenSea now has swaps in the coins on their platform. So swap into a coin, swap out of it, so on, right? So there's a lot going on there, but the airdrops are coming and airdrops are bullish for the market because that's free money coming back into degenerates' hands. And you know what they like to do? Put it back into the market. So that usually propels the market initially. However, we do have some bearishness around that. depending on what the drop is and market sentiment and obviously outside factors. But overall, airdrops can and should be super bullish. Yeah, so that's the airdrop news that I'm looking at. And I already talked about the stock market making all-time highs. It's literally absolutely crazy when you look at it as a whole. And this is an old post here. This is back from October 27th. It's actually even higher now. The S&P broke past 6,900. Like, that's a prophecy going past that. And I'm sure Elon Musk is happy about that. But literally, we just keep going up and up and up. And literally on Friday, the market gapped up again, 1% up on most indexes. It's like, how much higher can we really go? And how I look at it, right? Let me take a sip of this green tea and give you my little spiel on it. Yeah, it's good stuff. So, how I look at it is that inflation right now is getting bigger. It's at like an all-time high. It just keeps getting worse. So if our dollars continuing to devalue, that means assets will continue to be valued higher because they're valued in dollars. So Nvidia, for example, is worth I think above $200 now. If you buy one stock of Nvidia for $200, right? Hypothetically, that $200 in the stock is now in an asset, but if you keep it in cash, it's losing value. So as the cash loses value, the asset increases in value because the cash is going down. So that's why during inflation periods, you want to be able to be in assets. It's a risk on environment, meaning you want to be in crypto, which is a newer environment. You want to be in stocks and equities, which is the stock market's been there for a while. And you want to be in commodities like gold, like metals, right? Gold and silver, both making all-time highs. Maybe you want to invest in some bonds, treasuries, stuff like that, more government-related assets. But you don't want to be in cash, is what I'm trying to say. You don't want to literally have cash just sitting in your bank that's continuing to lose value. However, maybe you leverage it in the sense of like maybe like a high yield savings account. That's always a good idea. Getting like 4% APY so that you're not necessarily just continuing to lose. You're building something, but you're building more useless money, is how I see it. You're building more dollars which are completely useless and will eventually be worth nothing when we finally transition to the new payment system, which will be digital and using blockchain technology. That is the future that we're headed for. Whether you understand that or you see that, there's no way around it, in my opinion. That's where game theory kicks in. Like, everyone's going to have to adjust to it. It depends on when. So companies are already adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets. They're already incorporating blockchain. Some companies, actually, this brings me to a good point. Zelle actually came out and said that they're going to be using stable coins for their transfers on their payments. So here's the official post. Zelle goes crypto, right? So a Zelle payment will soon enable stablecoin transfers for international transactions. So you'll now be able to use stablecoins on Zelle, like USDT, which is Tether, probably USDC, which is Circle's stablecoin, and there's a few more, but those are the two big ones. You basically be able to use those to transfer. Obviously, when you transfer it, it's across the blockchain. It's on a public ledger that's immutable, that has all your information on there, meaning that you have the wallet it came from, where it went to, source, destination. You have the block confirmation. You have the time. You have the amount, everything on the blockchain. So Zelle is taking a step forward here, in my opinion. Zelle is making the right move and they are already getting ready to adopt. And this is literally game theory in play. So, exactly what I'm talking about. This is what we need to see. This is the change that we're getting into. This is huge. So, what I'm trying to tell you is adjust to these times, position yourself during these times. And I feel like crypto is the place where you want to be able to position yourself. And speaking on crypto, there was this new, maybe not new, but technology called x402, which basically takes AI agents and allows them to automatically make payments so that a user does not have to get involved. So it just makes it less effortless, more seamless for payments for things like API calls and other things that you may want to grab. The AI agent automatically makes it a frictionless environment where you can just make payments. I'm not an expert on this topic, but there is a very helpful video that we can go through some of it, and I'll kind of show you exactly what's going on with X402, which is the new hype. I'm sure you heard of virtuals. A lot of X402 products are being built on there. A lot of X402 is just coming out now. Some of them can be scams, so please do be aware. Don't just jump into something. But I'm just highlighting the technology itself. So let's look at this. Let me start this video back up.
What if you could pay for a single API call without logging in? Meet X402.
Yep.
X402 isn't just another payment layer. It solves a 25-year gap in the Internet's foundation
Calling
by
APIs.
finally putting HTTP 402 to work. X402 is an
calling on a website.
Internet-native payment protocol created by Coinbase. It
Coinbase
repurposes
created
the
it, by the way.
long-unused HTTP 402 payment required status code, which was originally reserved for digital cash payments in 1999 but never implemented. X402 is an open payment standard that allows services to charge for access to their APIs directly
Charging the
over
access
HTTP.
to AI agents are
It
making
enables
that payment.
programmatic payments for resources without accounts, sessions, or credential management.
So you don't
This
need
makes it highly
approval. The AI
suitable
agent
for
already
AI
knows,
agents, allowing
buys
them
it.
to make
Or not buys it,
microtransactions
pays for that
autonomously.
API call.
With X402, any web service can require
Makes things
payments
more
before
seamless.
serving a response, using crypto-native payments for speed, privacy.
So let me just pause it there. So that's basically the gist of kind of what you need to know. So X402 is building hype. A lot of coins are dropping across chains on Binance Smart Chain, Solana, Ethereum, so on, right? Even some layer twos. Coinbase created this concept of these AI agents, and actually on Coinbase wallet itself, you can trade X402 assets. So a lot of hype going on there. Understanding the technology is important, so maybe do some research yourself on it. But I wouldn't just jump into something right away. But I wanted to make you aware of what it is and what's going on with X402. You may have seen it pop up on like Twitter, crypto Twitter, or something else. But super important, a good concept to understand. These are the concepts that crypto brings. So it's always, to me, it's always fun to learn these new concepts and understand this technology, because a lot of it is very, very innovative, and it's just the future. That's all it is, just the future. Yeah. So I mean, that's almost everything I want to touch in the live stream. We've been going on almost 40 minutes now. I like to keep my live streams right at 40, maybe push even an hour. But one more thing I do want to end with is the fact of housing and Bitcoin. Like, this has been a big conversation for a while. Do you go buy a house? You're in your 20s. Do you go buy a house, or do you buy Bitcoin? Which one will yield you the biggest return? Which one will actually propel you forward and keep you financially successful? How I see it, Bitcoin has a limited supply, 21 million. It's an asset, it's an investment. There's no maintenance, nothing. You buy it and it either appreciates or depreciates on its own. But ideally, year over year, it sees continuous gains, and it will continue to grow. I believe Bitcoin will be above $1 million in the next 10 years, maybe even 10 million in the next 10 years after that. And it just continues to go up. That's how I see it. But this is the big question. So go ahead, blow up that chat. Let me know what you think. Would you rather buy a house, or would you rather buy Bitcoin? Which one's more valuable to you? Which one do you think will yield you the most returns? Do also keep in mind a house requires maintenance, property taxes, insurance, HOA, this and that. There's a lot more that comes into it, where Bitcoin, literally, maybe you pay a fee to your custodian, like if you're buying it on Coinbase, and then that's about it. And then you set it, forget it, and then you sell it and you pay a fee. That's about it. Yeah, you do have to pay taxes on it, but depends on where you live. You could easily be in a country where there's 0% taxes currently, or your country could be headed towards that. I talked about this. I think it's going to happen. I think that's game theory. I think every single country in this world will eventually have 0% taxes, and the US is next. But let's go ahead and watch this little video about comparing housing to Bitcoin, right? Would you rather buy a house or would you rather Bitcoin? Which one is the smarter investment? So let's look at it here.
I've said this, is I think the game of like, hey, buy a house because buy a house to get rich. I think it's over. I think that's over.
I agree.
Buy a house because you like it. It's in a good school system. It's a place to raise a family. It's safe. It's whatever. You like the location, but I don't, particularly when we overlay, sort of the demonetization of housing that Bitcoin is doing, right? Which is younger generation. I've been advocating to my sons. They all own some Bitcoin. Been advocating it for 5 years. Buy some Bitcoin. Buy some Bitcoin. Buy some Bitcoin.
Just buy
that
Bitcoin.
Coinbase ad that was on
Even
TV.
now,
a 30-second ad during an NBA game back in May was mind-boggling. Same house that was 1,000 Bitcoin in 2016 was 10 Bitcoin in 2020, and now it's
2
Bitcoin. And that
I want to highlight that real quick. So what he's basically talking upon, I believe it was a Coinbase commercial. Basically what it's saying is your house value, because it's valued in dollars, is continuing to lose value even though it's appreciating, but Bitcoin is only a finite supply. It always has that demand, and it's living on blockchain technology, and it can neither be created nor destroyed, really. What's going on there is that Bitcoin is going to continue appreciating, and your house, let's just say you valued your house in Bitcoin. If you valued your house in Bitcoin, you would have a lot more value, a lot more money, right? Your Bitcoin count necessarily won't change. You'd still be at 1 Bitcoin, for example. You bought your house for 1 Bitcoin. That 1 Bitcoin will just be worth more, but your house will be worth less. So that's the point that he's trying to get across.
That house is going to 1 Bitcoin in the next 5 years. And 5 years after that, it's going to be half a Bitcoin. And 5 years after that, it's going to be 1/10 of a Bitcoin. And
what he's saying there is, as Bitcoin's appreciating, your house is technically not keeping up with it. And also inflation is causing it to technically lose value, even though it's going up because the dollar is getting more worthless. Basically, what he's saying is you'll be able to buy less Bitcoin. So initially, if your house was worth 1 Bitcoin, but it's priced in dollars, and you wanted to buy a Bitcoin, you could buy 1 full Bitcoin. 10 years later, Bitcoin's appreciated a much higher, and your house maybe appreciated, but inflation is literally shooting it down. You would only be able to buy half a Bitcoin in that case.
That's my base case.
Very good, informative video. Very something to understand when it comes to how money works, what Bitcoin is doing, how Bitcoin keeps itself deflationary with like the whole mining process and the halving. It's very good to understand. So go through that concept, understand that. I'm going to go ahead and close out this live stream. Thank you everyone for joining. Please support me. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I would love all and every support. I'm here on this live stream. I'm going to be live streaming a lot more often. I'm going to go like at least once a week. I'm going to try to go for 2-3 times a week. Eventually, I'm going to live stream every single day. So stick with me. I'm going to bring you the crypto news, my crypto knowledge, being in the space for, 6, almost 7 years now. And we're just going to kick it. We're going to vibe, and we're going to make some money together. That is the goal. So thank you, everyone, for joining my stream. I am the Crypto Compass, the guide to the market. And thank you, Compass Cartel. I keep forgetting. Compass Cartel. That's what I call my fans. Thank you, Compass Cartel. Until next time, have a beautiful weekend. I'll see you guys later. Peace.